The goal of supplementing with beta-alanine is to increase muscle levels of carnosine, to buffer the dreaded exercise-induced lactic acid buildup that normally forces us to stop exercising, to help us go a little harder by increasing force production and longer increasing anaerobic endurance at each exercise set or session, leading to greater long-term results compared to a non-supplemented state. Therefore, beta-alanine supplementation would benefit activities that are limited by acidosis from lactic acid buildup, which are continuous actions, generally in the range of 0 to 4 minutes, or primary anaerobic activities, including weightlifting. You can see how this can be a great adjunct to creatine supplementation, since both work primarily to enhance anaerobic exercise capacity, but by different mechanisms, and therefore can deliver incremental value when combined. Stronger workouts or practices lead to better long-term results and carry over to better performance in designated sports activities, such as for many team sports and strength athletes. Now let's go to the rationale. Carnosine is a naturally occurring dipeptide found in your muscles. Carnosine has many functions, including acting as an intramuscular pH buffer, so it sequesters protons. And therefore, increasing carnosine levels can reduce exercise-induced acidosis and prolong time to exhaustion. The lactic acid, that's what we're talking about here. Beta-alanine supplementation can enter skeletal muscle and be converted to carnosine to increase muscle carnosine concentrations, leading to greater lactic acid buffering effect, and therefore, supplementation has been regularly shown to delay fatigue and/or improve performance. Now let's go to the mechanisms of action. Carnosine can be formed in the body by combining L-histidine and beta-alanine using the enzyme carnosine synthetase, and beta-alanine available has an effect on how much the body can make. Now, carcinosinase, the enzyme that starts the breakdown of carnosine, is located, and this gets tricky here, it's located in the blood and many tissues, but guess where it's not? It's not in skeletal muscle, meaning carnosine ingestion would be inefficient at raising muscle carnosine levels because the ingested carnosine would be metabolized before it got there. This fact gives rise to beta-alanine supplementation, since beta-alanine can enter the skeletal muscle and then be converted to carnosine. Get it? Where its primary mechanism of action takes place, which is an intracellular pH buffer through its molecular structure of nitrogen atoms, attracting those pesky little extra protons that lead to the reductions in our pH, causing the lactic acid buildup, muscle acidosis, or that burning effect that contributes to fatigue. In summary, beta-alanine availability has been shown to be the rate-limiting precursor to carnosine synthesis. Beta-alanine supplementation has been shown to consistently increase skeletal muscle carnosine levels, regardless of what you started with. Subsequently, through its skeletal muscle buffering and antioxidant capacities, it can improve performance during high-intensity exercise and/or enhance the quality of training in strength and power athletes. So the big question is, does it work? Yes, it does. Beta-alanine supplementation compared to placebo has been clearly shown to be effective in improving performance in certain activities, mainly repeated high-intensity movements, using dosages ranging from 4 to 6 grams a day for a minimum of 4 weeks. Results in exercise measures have been averaged to almost 3% improvement, which is hugely significant in all aspects of competitive performance. Differences, of course, individual outcomes using proper supplementation dosage are most likely due to how much you had when you started, carnosine levels, which may be higher in males and higher with people on high meat diets. And if you have a higher percentage of type 2 fibers, you may also have higher carnosine levels to start with. But beta-alanine supplementation compared to placebos have shown improved exercise-induced lean body mass, endurance performance, training volume while reducing feelings of fatigue, sprint performance in endurance cycling, and improved muscle endurance in the elderly. These studies also demonstrated safety. Now let's go to dosing. 4 to 6 grams daily divided into 800 milligrams. Now this is important, 800 milligram servings for 4 weeks, taken with food, including it could be your pre-workout snack or shake, in order to reach maximum levels of carnosine. And you can achieve a 40 to 60% increase in carnosine levels by using this loading procedure, thus optimizing its buffering effect during exercise. Thereafter, to maintain maximum carnosine levels, a maintenance dose of 3.2 grams per day for the average person here for the duration of the supplement period would be appropriate. Now, as a side note, the serving of 800 milligrams would help avoid the potential harmless tingling called paresthesia that in some people comes at higher doses at one time. Now let's talk about safety. Based on the current available peer-reviewed data, beta-alanine supplementation appears safe and effective in healthy subjects at these recommended doses. As mentioned, paresthesia, which is the tingling, is a commonly known side effect of beta-alanine in individuals ingesting more than 800 milligrams of beta-alanine in one dose. If present, if it happens, it generally disappears within 60 to 90 minutes following ingestion. Currently, there is no data to support that this tingling is harmful in any way. And by the way, some people actually like it. It just makes them feel stronger. All right, let's get to a summary. The purpose and the goal of supplementing beta-alanine is to significantly raise muscle carnosine concentrations, thus increasing intracellular pH buffering capacity, reducing the lactic acid buildup, leading to increases in exercise performance, especially in repeated intensity activities lasting 1 to 4 minutes. Supplementation may increase power output and training capacity and decrease feelings of fatigue and exhaustion. Okay, let's talk about potential beneficiaries. Like creatine, any adult athlete seeking to improve training outcomes related to increasing muscle and improving strength and power activities such as sprinting, weightlifting, and jumping. These benefits may also translate to other sports requiring repetitive bursts of speed and power. In other words, specific intermittent athletes, as we discussed earlier, as in team sports such as football, baseball, soccer, rugby, hockey, lacrosse. Okay, before we close out today's session, it's worth a quick mention regarding using beta-alanine and creatine in combination, since this is a very popular practice among strength athletes and especially weightlifters. You can probably guess the rationale. Both ingredients have unique and synergistic mechanisms of action, and therefore, simultaneously ingesting creatine and beta-alanine may deliver an additive performance effect compared to individual usage alone. As we learned, creatine supplementation increases the total muscle creatine pool, allowing greater energy production, while also improving the entire anabolic environment. And although creatine can also buffer lactate, reducing muscle acidosis, beta-alanine does this through a completely different mechanism to extend your time to fatigue. Most researchers and athletes alike believe that under certain athletic conditions and protocols, the combination of beta-alanine supplementation and creatine supplementation should contribute in an additive effect manner. In this last session dedicated to solid, evidence-based performance-enhancing supplements, we'll discuss the last two, caffeine and essential amino acid formulas, which include the branched-chain and leucine. But let's get right down to caffeine. The goal of caffeine supplementation is to increase time to exhaustion or delay fatigue, especially in continuous intermittent intensity and endurance sports, while also delivering positive cognitive benefits, such as improved training desire, reaction time, and focus. Now, the rationale for caffeine supplementation. Caffeine is a methylxanthine, and it's a well-known central nervous stimulant shown to improve performance or single training sessions in a wide variety of activities, but originally used primarily in traditional endurance activities, such as distance running, cycling, and other medium to long continuous activity events. Because of its availability to stimulate the central nervous system, including reducing ratings of perceived exertion, thus allowing greater workouts and greater workloads, we now see it used as a performance enhancer to almost all activities, including daily activities, as you well know. Let's discuss caffeine's mechanisms of action. Significantly different from creatine, caffeine, which is structurally similar to adenosine, primarily exerts its effects by occupying these adenosine receptors throughout the central nervous system and other body tissues, such as the peripheral nervous system. And that leads to a cascade of events that collectively work to enhance cognitive and physical performance under both normal or energy or sleep-deprived conditions. In other words, by blocking adenosine from reaching its targets, which would otherwise suppress neural and nerve activity, caffeine delays fatigue and increases the activity in cells. Now you know how caffeine also keeps us awake, or at least more alert. Just block some of that adenosine flying around our bodies trying to tire us out from getting to the receptors, and we can at least stay busier and possibly stronger a little longer. Yes, it can delay fatigue. That's the magic word, is can caffeine delay fatigue, and that's what athletes look for when they use caffeine supplementation. So, caffeine stimulation of the central nervous system happens primarily by blocking the effects of adenosine. But if you look at this diagram by Sokum et al., it does a great job of showing caffeine's potential direct or indirect targets, such as increasing the mobilization of free fatty acids, sparing glycogen, stimulate the release of epinephrine and beta endorphins, which may decrease pain perception, and also alter the calcium level in muscles. All of these physiological effects can contribute to caffeine's ability to reduce fatigue, improve concentration, enhance mental alertness, and improve athletic performance when compared to a non-supplemented state. Okay, here it is, our favorite question. Does it work? Certainly. There is universal agreement in sports science that caffeine in supplement form can improve performance across multiple activities, including sports of any type. Despite early reports of caffeine's performance-enhancing mechanisms being attributed to its stimulatory effect on free fatty acid release and sparing glycogen, thus considered predominantly an endurance exercise performance aid, its ability to activate the central nervous system via its role in blocking adenosine receptors, as we just discussed, open the door to recognizing its value in many activities. Therefore, caffeine's effects on physical performance are now discovered in muscle recovery and strength and power, prolonged endurance activities, and high-intensity exercise and intermittent sports, including improving reaction times. It can also reduce perceived exertion and pain to help delay fatigue. Collectively, in the category of anaerobic activities, McCallum et al. Reported that in over 2/3 of the 33 studies related to muscle strength and endurance found a significant performance-enhancing effect from caffeine. Those same authors captured 59 caffeine endurance activity studies and showed 46 to significantly improve exercise performance. So yes, it works. And again, to what degree it works will be individual. In other words, like creatine, there are greater and lesser responders to the same protocols. Okay, so let's go to proper dosing and potential beneficiaries. Typical use that would support the claims we just discussed. Let's talk general here. Caffeine's effects on cognitive performance, so alertness, vigilance, and memory, are generally experienced at a very low dose, relatively low dose anyway, such as 1/4 to 2 milligrams per pound of body weight. So somewhere in the middle is about 150 to 200 milligrams for a 150 pounder, which is equivalent to about 1.5 to 2 cups of standard coffee. So you see that, you can improve your alertness on just that. But dosages that improvements in performance and exercise performance specifically range from about 1.4 to 3 milligrams per pound of body weight, not to exceed 600 milligrams, and taken 1 hour, approximately 1 hour pre-exercise. Potential beneficiaries would be adult exercisers or athletes not bothered by stimulants, participating in most any activities seeking to delay fatigue, prolong and improve performance, such as endurance activities of short to long duration, like running, cycling, and in easy language would ingest 40 to 60 minutes before the activity about 350 milligrams of caffeine, unless you're caffeine sensitive. Then start with half the dosage and adjust as necessary, or use 1.4 to 3 milligrams per pound of body weight, as we just discussed, but don't exceed 600 milligrams. Another category of beneficiaries: intermittent athletes, such as football, baseball, soccer, hockey, rugby, swimming, with the same dosing instructions we just discussed. And then finally, another group, just simply before a workout or a training session to help motivate you and potentially work harder longer. All right, let's discuss myths and safety. Contrary to popular belief, caffeine does not upset fluid balance or induce diuresis, which makes you want to urinate, during exercise. And it's very safe in normal humans. In fact, caffeine is one of the world's most commonly consumed drug, food, or supplement, whatever you want to call it, to the tune of approximately 85% of U.S. adults regularly ingest caffeine, with the majority being consumed as coffee. And there is universal agreement that caffeine consumption of up to 400 milligrams a day, or about 2.5 milligrams per pound, in healthy adults is not only classified as considered safe, but also associated with health benefits, including enhanced fat metabolism and reduced risk of certain diseases, at least when delivered by coffee or tea. However, like many other universally ingested substances, caffeine is not for everyone, based primarily on its stimulant effects that can cause acute adverse reactions in susceptible subpopulations. Most of you know who you are. Basically, even a little bit of coffee makes you uncomfortable. Let me just give you some final notes. For exercise or competition performance enhancement, caffeine in the anhydrous form, which would be a pill form versus a fluid delivery, is preferred based on the ability to accurately assess the amount and control the dosing. In other words, it's tough to know what's in a cup of coffee or how other combinations drinks may perform. And also, competitors should experiment with dosing described here during practice sessions in order to personalize their most effective protocols, including testing abstination or not using coffee for 2 to 4 days before using the competition dose. You don't want to take your training or competition dose within 4 hours of other products containing stimulants, especially caffeine, such as coffee or energy drinks, or mixed with other stimulants at all. So be vigilant, because as you know, caffeine is everywhere now. And finally, because of caffeine's unique mechanism of action, it's commonly found in products containing the other evidence-based ingredients, beta-alanine and creatine monohydrate. Okay, let's go to amino acids. From lesson 3, we learned exactly how protein works with exercise for building muscle and its proper timing, including supplementing a fast-acting protein 30 to 40 minutes before and immediately after training can significantly enhance exercise results. And as this diagram reminds us, without the amino acids that make up protein, you can't keep or build muscle. What your top protein researchers set out to do next was to find out which parts of the complete protein are the primary drivers of muscle protein synthesis. And as session 3 taught us, it's only the essential amino acids, or the ones the body cannot make and must be supplied through diet and or supplements, including the branched-chain amino acids that are the major trigger for muscle protein synthesis, with leucine having the greatest impact of all. Which is why whey protein is shown superior in delivering muscle protein synthesis, as it has the highest content of essential amino acids, including leucine, per gram of protein compared to all others. From there, the researchers proposed that supplementing these essential amino acids, or shall we say direct drivers of muscle protein synthesis, along with adequate daily protein, might further stimulate muscle protein synthesis and reduce muscle breakdown, with the bonus of less calories for weight control, fewer sulfur-containing amino acids to maintain bone health, and lower nitrogen load for organ health. Sure enough, they were correct. The essential amino acids, including the branched chain with leucine, became regular supplements beyond complete intact protein for enhancing muscle protein synthesis. In other words, supplementing these isolated essential amino acids properly would deliver an incremental benefit to muscle protein synthesis when compared to adequate daily protein alone. Okay, so let's see how these special muscle protein synthesis triggers go beyond what complete protein can do. So think of it as isolating just the natural molecules involved in signaling muscle protein synthesis away from everything else, so they can have a continual direct path to their targets. In other words, the body doesn't have to do any of the extraction from other food sources, which might otherwise detour them from their muscle protein synthesis destinations and or lessen their potential effectiveness. What this means is, when the essential amino acids are supplied in a complete protein source, it can get separated, diluted, and sent to other places in the body, leaving the muscle protein synthesis targets not completely fulfilled. Therefore, the goal is to supply a combination of specific amino acids shown in clinical trials to help maximize recovery from continuous training bouts through unique pathways beyond protein alone. Therefore, proper use would allow greater recovery and help avoid training plateaus by keeping the muscle protein synthesis signal going all day, every day, through a fast-acting, low-calorie delivery system. By the way, as a side note, it can be used for the non-exercising adult population. Since it is a low-calorie muscle protein synthesis supplement, daily use can actually help preserve muscle, thus staving off normal age-related losses. All right, let's talk about the rationale for the essential amino acids. Exercise and amino acids stimulate skeletal muscle protein turnover independently. Thus, combined properly, they have additive effects on training-induced recovery, performance, and muscle size. That's a given. Although non-essential amino acids are necessary components of complete muscle tissue, they are not required to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Only the essential amino acids stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Essential amino acid feeding stimulates muscle protein synthesis independent of other mechanisms and can be incremental to protein alone. Let's talk mechanisms of action. This diagram shows how isolated essential amino acids stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Essential amino acids have a unique trigger mechanism, including acting as a positive regulator of the mammalian target of rapamycin complex 1, mTORC. Boy, do you want to say that again. Signaling pathway, which is really where it's the main primary target for stimulating muscle protein synthesis. That's my term. There's also less competitive amino acid transport into the body and then muscles with only 8 versus 20 amino acids, which also means less organ extraction, meaning more amino acids are available directly to the muscles, as the essential amino acids can bypass much of the normal amino acid liver metabolism. And a high volume of essential amino acids can maintain an ideal cellular ratio of amino acids around the muscles. In other words, supply them as they're released and incorporated into tissues. So basically, it's a straight shot with the right molecules to the desired destination. But for all you science geeks out there, this next slide lists the known essential amino acid mechanisms beyond intact protein. So in summary so far, isolated essential amino acid feeding stimulate muscle protein synthesis independently or incrementally from other mechanisms. In other words, additive to complete protein and exercise. Essential amino acids in the right proportion can hit the bullseye on each target, as it would take too much intact protein to match effective levels of just the essential amino acids. In fact, it'd take more than 40 grams just to supply 12 grams of essential amino acids. But even then, with complete protein, you can't control the accurate needed percentages of these individual essential amino acids, and especially leucine. Meaning the proven dose needs to be in proportion with what's lost during muscle protein breakdown and maximally needed during muscle protein synthesis. And that cannot be done without isolating the desired amino acids. And finally, with only the essential amino acids being delivered, there is less competition for the amino acid transporters, with greater activation of the essential amino acid transporters, and less loss to the organs. So, you get far more to the muscle targets. And does it work? Absolutely. Science has clearly established that a specific combination of essential amino acids administered properly can accomplish the goal of maximizing muscle protein synthesis during each temporal or muscle protein synthesis opening in time during the day opportunity, exercise-induced or not, by utilizing every available mechanism of action up to its respective rate-limiting effect. In other words, where it can't help anymore. A secondary goal is to deliver maximum muscle protein synthesis throughout life with a low-calorie, low nitrogen-containing, low sulfur-producing supplement. And if you look at pages 2 through 5 of your accompanying document that I gave you, list the recent myriad studies that support the formula and positive outcomes of essential amino acid formulas. So let's look at the typical use that supports all these claims that are taken from these studies and how to use it alongside your normal protein intakes, which is a big one. As a standalone low-calorie pre- and post-workout supplement, here's how you would use it. If you're less than or equal to 150 pounds, you'd use about 12 grams of a like formula like we just showed you in the slide here during and before training, and repeat that same dose immediately after. So 12 grams before, 12 grams after. If you're greater than 150, and I put this formula in here, you can kind of do what you want here all the way around, but approximately 5% increase for each 10 pounds of body weight. So I'll put an example for you. If you weigh 200 pounds, you'd add 3 grams. So you got a 15 gram dose. If you're 250 pounds, 18 gram dose. Now, if you're using a pre and post protein shake and want to add an essential amino acid formula for a potential additive effect, as we just discussed, or what we call in pro sports, stacking, here's the protocol. Take your pre-workout complete protein shake about 40 minutes before training. Start ingesting the essential amino acid formula about 10 minutes before the workout, and continue to drink during. Immediately after the activity, consume your post-essential amino acid formula again, and then 30 minutes after that, take your complete protein shake again. You are now jacked, stacked, and Big Mac'd. All right, let's talk about potential beneficiaries, or the typical use. Basically, all exercisers and athletes seeking continuous physical progress, ideal for breaking through or avoiding fitness, size, or performance plateaus. Also used as an extremely low-calorie and high anabolic pre- and post-workout supplement for athletes to maximize muscle protein synthesis during restricted calorie dieting to maintain muscle protein synthesis during weight and fat loss, such as in physique competitors, fighters, wrestlers, weightlifters, basically anyone trying to reduce fat or weight without losing muscle. And it's also very important for older athletes seeking physical improvements as the body becomes more resistant to the anabolic effects of food and exercise. It's also ideal for multiple daily training sessions or tournament play before and after each event. Any non-exerciser over the age of 30 to help stave off age-related loss of muscle. It is a low-calorie, low-nitrogen, and low-sulfur producing protein supplement as needed for the aging. Let's talk about safety. Amino acids are considered safe at these recommended dosages for all healthy persons, non-pregnant or lactating. As with any protein-containing supplement, amino acid supplementation would be contraindicated for anyone with kidney or liver disease and for phenylketonuria because it contains phenylalanine. Furthermore, there's no upper limit for amino acids. In fact, chronic protein intake, 2 to 4 times the RDA, appears safe for healthy individuals as long as protein's not replacing other necessary nutritious foods. All right, so a little quick side note here, branched chain and leucine. I want to leave you with a quick note on branched chain and leucine alone as supplementation since they're commonly used. Leucine is part of the branched chain amino acids. And of course, as we learned here, branched chain amino acids are part of the essential amino acid formulas used for the goal of enhancing muscle protein synthesis. Therefore, branched chain amino acids or leucine alone supplementation, while they may have some clinical application outside their contribution to muscle protein synthesis, would be an inferior supplement for maximizing muscle protein synthesis since the essential amino acid supplements contain not just these amino acids in proper quantities, but also the other necessary synergistic essential amino acids, histidine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, and threonine, that take muscle protein synthesis to the next level when combined in the proper ratio. That said, because of branched chain amino acids' ability to compete with tryptophan, another amino acid, in entering the brain, where tryptophan can cause fatigue, there is some evidence that supports that high doses of branched chain alone may delay fatigue in strenuous endurance activities. Okay, with all that out of the way, I thought I would leave you with a final picture of how we incorporate all we discussed regarding health and performance supplements. This program is what we deliver to amateur, college, and pro athletes to maximize health, size, strength, and overall performance gains. Enjoy.